After every mass shooting, there is a gun debate. Many people say now is not the time for it. Many other people say now is the time for it. And in my opinion, there's always a time for it. And I think obviously when people are focused on an issue or we are seeing the extreme cases, these mass shootings, then maybe it is time for discussion on gun control. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm for or against banning guns or anything like that. But the point of this video is not to talk about what I think about guns, but to talk about the gun debate following the mass shooting. The other day I made a video about how CNN claims they don't prepare questions and provide them to their guests, and I want to touch on that. Why? Well, aside from clearing things up, another family, another group of survivors has come out saying that CNN is pushing a narrative. Another family that talked with CNN producers are saying that they were only interested in pushing a gun debate policy narrative and were looking for a particular point of view for their town hall. Before I get into all of that, let me give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, all of you guys. If you haven't already, go to patreon.com/Timcast and become a patron today. There are many different tiers to choose from. Most notably is tier 1. At $10 per month, you get access to behind-the-scenes photos and videos and bonus commentary videos when available. When you support me on Patreon, you help me do the work that I do, so please consider becoming a patron at whatever level you feel comfortable today. So yesterday I pointed out that Donna Brazile, while working for CNN, had pre-written questions that she delivered to the Clinton campaign before a town hall event. And I want to clarify a few things. CNN did not script these questions internally, and Donna Brazile was working for CNN when she gave them to the Clinton campaign. There have been a lot of people who have said, no, this was TV1 that scripted the questions, and Donna Brazile is the one who used her connections at the DNC to pass them off to the Clinton campaign. But we're just arguing semantics here, so I want to say one thing. If I put on an event and then contracted or hired some group who was scripting questions, okay? They were pre-writing questions. Whatever you think, scripting or pre-writing, whatever. Let's say pre-written questions were produced by someone affiliated with the event, were given to someone who worked at my event, who then handed them off to guests. Would you consider that me, my event, having done this? So we're getting into technicalities and semantics, and what I'm finding is that people who don't like Trump, because Trump tweeted about this, are saying that it's fake news. And the people who support Trump and support Colton Hobb are saying that CNN is lying. Let me just say, we can get into the technicalities and say, sure, technically CNN internal staff didn't do this. It was a CNN contributor and someone working with the town hall. But in my opinion, all of these people were working for CNN's town hall event where questions were being pre-written, where a CNN contributor gave them to the town hall guests, so it would be incorrect for CNN to claim they have never done this. Okay, it's all technicalities, but I want to bring up another point. Drew Griffin, CNN said, "This is just a lie, repeated over and over again, and yet a lie. Facts matter." And this is a response to a tweet from Donald Trump, where he said, "School shooting survivor says he quit CNN town hall after refusing scripted question." Tucker Carlson, "Just like so much of CNN, fake news, that's why their ratings are so bad. MSNBC may be worse." Now, Drew Griffin is a CNN Special Investigations Unit reporter. My question, Drew Griffin, do you have anything to do with the town hall? Did you produce it in any way? Maybe you did, I don't know. But I certainly don't think that Drew Griffin, this personality, or anyone else at CNN who are on-air personalities or investigators would know what one producer said on the phone to one other person. And we have another CNN personality, Chris Cillizza, saying, "This is simply false, as we made clear in a statement this morning." Let me just point out, issuing a statement is not proof of anything. You can't just say it's true because you said so and that makes it true. More importantly, does a political pundit at CNN know what one producer said to one of the Florida survivors? The answer is probably not. And it's frustrating for me to see so many people who probably don't know what the producer said coming out claiming that they know for sure. Of course, CNN staff are going to defend CNN. And of course, those who don't like CNN are going to come out and say CNN is lying. In my opinion, CNN is playing semantics and pulling hard technicalities to claim that they're in the right. Brian Stelter is the media reporter for CNN, and he has a newsletter, which says, on Tucker Carlson's show, Hobb went into more detail. He said he wrote a speech for the town hall, was asked by a CNN producer to come up with questions instead of a speech, and then was asked to narrow it down to one question. He ended up withdrawing from the event. This account backs up what Eric Erickson surmised early in the day. I just think he might have misunderstood what CNN was trying to do. I suspect they were trying to just tighten up his question, not force him to ask a question presupposing a position he does not support. But omitted from this explanation is that Colton Hobbs said they also wrote the question for him. Tucker Carlson went on to say, so it wasn't your own words, they actually wrote the question, and that's when Colton Hobbs said yes. Okay, the newsletter doesn't state this. And we also have this rather amusing photo going around that says, CNN did not provide or script questions for anyone in last night's town hall, nor have we ever. And you can see here in a woman's hand holding a microphone, it says, Gmail your question. But let me just say, holding a printout in an email that says your question does not prove anything definitively. Some people think that this is CNN saying, here's your question, here's what you need to ask. Where this might as well be someone sending the subject line saying your question, and the body of it says, hey, what's your question? We don't know what this is. And this woman maybe just printed out the email chain because the question she wrote is on it. Here's what I think happened. I think most people don't understand how news works. They are producing a town hall event. It is very likely they want to control the direction of the conversation. They need to make sure they hit certain points, and they have commercials in between. So this is all produced. I imagine Colton Hobbs thought he was going to be invited on TV to just talk, because that's what people might assume happens on news programs. You come out, you talk about what you want. And what happened was, as CNN kept going back and forth with them, telling them what they needed from him and what they wanted, he said, this is scripted. Is the event scripted? Technically yes, and technically no. It's just a matter of perspective. Colton Hobbs probably thought he was going to just free speak, and CNN wanted to narrow down his question and then write it for him because they thought they knew exactly what he wanted to ask. That is problematic. And I think what we're seeing now is a disconnect between news personalities who are so used to controlling the narrative of their programs, not realizing that essentially, whether they are telling him exactly what to say or wording the question for him, they are scripting an event, and the average person might be shocked by this. One thing that I always want to bring up when talking about the disconnect between the news and the average person is that big news companies like CNN and the New York Times regularly alter their news articles without updating them. This may be the 4th or 5th time I've mentioned this website, but it's amazing. News Diffs, tracking online news over time. And they track the New York Times, CNN, Politico, Washington Post, and the BBC. Why do they do this? Because those websites will change an article without telling anyone, and they think that is okay. The average person would probably be shocked to find out that news articles on mainstream media websites change, and they don't tell people what changed. That news is not static. You might have a news article that is about 24 hours old, and it could be dramatically different. We have seen in many instances fact-based news pieces become opinion pieces, and that would probably shock the average American. So then when it's coming to a town hall event and someone says, would you like to come on and speak? The person assumes they're gonna be able to just talk. And the producer says, no, we're gonna tell them exactly what we wanna figure out what question they have, and then we're gonna wind it down, write it out for them so that it fits the program schedule. But let's talk about some of these other families. According to Fox News, Florida school shooting survivor. Media is using tragedy to push gun control. A survivor of the deadly shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, who was previously interviewed by CNN and MSNBC following the mass shooting, told Fox News he believes certain media outlets are politicizing the tragedy to push gun control. I wholeheartedly believe that the media is politicizing this tragedy, might have said. It seems that gun control laws is the major topic of conversation rather than focusing on the bigger issue of 17 innocent lives being taken at the hands of another human. I know many people who are pro-gun and others who support gun control, but it seems that the media is specifically targeting those in support of gun control to make it seem as if they are the majority. And the liberal news outlets are the ones that seem to make the bigger effort to speak to these people. And I'm talking from experience, said Meinhof, who was interviewed on cable news in primetime. The next day, Meinhof said he watched as CNN again focused on gun control, even as the shooter's troubling mental health history and missed warning signs began to emerge. And all day Thursday, CNN was interviewing gun experts and specialists to brainwash the audience that gun control is a necessity. They even have an army of my classmates trying to persuade other students that guns are unnecessary and should be illegal. He pointed out that on the March for Our Lives website, the mission statement says, "We cannot allow one more teacher to make a choice to jump in front of a firing assault rifle to save the life of students." But he noted, an assault rifle is an automatic weapon. There wasn't an assault rifle used in the Florida shooting. Rather, Cruz was armed with an AR-15. Popping over to the March for Our Lives website, we can see that yes, in fact, he is correct. In their mission statement, they say, "We cannot allow one more teacher to make a choice to jump in front of a firing assault rifle." And many of you may not be aware, but in order for a weapon to be an assault rifle, it must be capable of selective fire. That means it must have the capability to be adjusted to fire in semi-automatic burst mode and or fully automatic firing mode, which an AR-15 does not. The point I'm trying to make, not that I am for or against gun control or anything like that, but just that a point is being brought up. That the media seems to be pushing heavy gun control narratives, acting like these students are for the most part for gun control, when there are people who are not for gun control. The media debate is certainly less nuanced than the actual opinions of those who survived the Florida shooting. And not only that, but at least in one instance, the student is correct. The activists are incorrect. They've made a misstatement. Maybe they meant assault weapon, but assault rifle is wrong. But sure enough, Brandon Meinhof isn't the only one bringing this up. According to Real Clear Politics, Florida shooting survivor Ariana Klein, networks don't want us to give our real opinions, want us to further their agendas. Ariana Klein is a survivor of the shooting, and her father, who admitted to being a Republican and a gun owner, said he was approached by a CNN producer on Thursday, the day after the school shooting, and felt they were looking for people who were willing to espouse a certain narrative. The producer insinuated to me they were looking for people who were willing to espouse a certain narrative which was taking a tragedy and turning it into a policy debate, and I read that as being a gun control debate. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people talking about gun control don't understand what they're talking about. I think he's taking some liberties when he assumes what the CNN producer wanted. But I understand why he is making that assumption. Now, I'm not going to say he's right, I'm not going to say he's wrong, because honestly, I don't know. I wasn't on that phone call. I don't know what the CNN producer said to him. What I can say is, the debate is much more complicated, because what we have here are at least two instances, potentially three, where people, survivors and families of those who survived the Florida shooting, are on the other side of the gun control debate. Certainly, this debate has been complicated and been going on for a very, very long time. It's not like all of these people are naturally going to support gun control. But just because I don't know enough doesn't mean that you don't, so let me know what you think in the comments below and we will keep the conversation going. How do you feel about the media framing of gun control? Following the shooting, do you feel the media has been predominantly in favor of gun control, or do you think that it's been balanced? I know that when you look at Fox News, it comes off a little bit more balanced in favor of people who are not for gun control. And when you look at CNN and other sites, it seems like they're more for gun control. But what do you think? Am I wrong? Is this what's happening? Is this just the two realities? We'll keep the conversation going. If you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter at Timcast. Stay tuned, new videos every day at 4 p.m., and I will see you all tomorrow.